Okay, in this video we're going to talk about how to add materials to different aspects in Revit to different families, how to add materials, say a backsplash you can see here in the back here, as well as we're talking about Corian countertops, cherry cabinets. Pretty much anything in Revit is able to accept a material. Now if I toggle to this other rendering here, you get to see what does this look like without the backsplash, and then if I go to the backsplash, you can see it makes a big difference as far as how the lighting is working and how the light reflects, and just the overall look at the kitchen. So now we're going to talk about how to go ahead and add materials and split walls and things like that to make this all work. So to get started, what I'm going to do is go to the project that does not have any materials applied to it, so I can walk you through this process. So in this particular project, I have no materials applied to the walls. You can see this is pretty stark looking kitchen after looking at the other view here. So we'll go ahead and we'll talk about how to get a backsplash above the countertop, how to change the cabinets, and then even countertops. Once you see how those three objects can be altered, pretty much you have a good understanding of how to change things and alter things in Revit. So to get started here, let's go ahead and start working with a cabinet. To do that, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and select this corner cabinet. And cabinets are pretty simple. Revit's set up to do this. Come over here to your properties, slide down to edit type, and pretty much what we've done many times before is go in and start to work with finishes and materials. So where it says cabinet material, drawer material, that's where we see by category. Well, that's where we just select on that cell, and then we want to click on those three little dots, little square over here. That opens up our material library. Now, in here, I'm going to want to go over some wood cabinets. So I'm going to, at the top bar here, type in cherry. Well, actually, just type in wood. Let's see what kind of woods pop up. So here we got cherry. We have countertop, door panel, oak, sash, bunch of different woods here. Now, here's another area that I want you to take a look at. If you do not see this material library, what would probably be in the default is this material library with these double little arrows here. You need to select those arrows to get into this AEC material library. Now you can slide down through here. I just saw bamboo, ash, lots of different types of woods. So if I wanted to go in and pick a different type of wood, let's just say we could do birch, and you get a little preview here of what that would look like. If we wanted to take a look at the bamboo, bamboo is a very light cabinet. I think they have two different types of bamboo. Here's another light bamboo. But I want to go back and I'm going to grab this birch because that looked like it had a nice grain to it. So I'm going to work with this birch. Now I want this to go into my project because this is coming from the library. So what I'll do here is any of these I want to add, you need to select it and then click on this little add material to document. So now that's available up here in my document. So for now I'll go ahead and select that birch glossy and come back, and when I go to my identity tab here at the top, this says birch glossy. Now this is the official, I want to say this might be the Latin name, I'm not sure, but if we're going to be doing a material library or material tag, we want to get rid of that and we just want this to be called birch. And if we want to keep the finish as glossy, we can do that, but we want this to be what are we going to do, or what will show up when we tag it with a material. Okay, so we're going to move back through here, go to appearance, we can see what that is. And this is actually important to see this. We're going to go back in here when we want to change and get a custom color. If we want to get a custom image, we can do that and build a completely custom image. If we wanted to get a different wood like an ubatuba or some type of an exotic wood, we can do that and duplicate. And I'll show you how to do that a little bit later with our countertop. But once this is set up, we just come back and hit apply. Hit OK, and now this says birch glossy. I'm going to do the same thing to the door and drawer material because the cabinet is the box itself, and then the door is what sits on top of it. And there's no reason why you want to, you can keep them the same, you can keep them different. It doesn't really matter. That's up to you how you want this to look. So once we do that, we click back into our drawing and zoom in. You can see now that has changed, and that now has wood grain. So you can go ahead and do this to any of the other cabinets, and you can set this up just as quickly and grab that birch, hit OK. Now once you have it in here, you can actually highlight it. You can do a Control-C, and since we have drawer material again, we could do the same thing and save a little bit of time from having to bounce back and forth. So this way you can keep moving pretty quickly with changing over materials and keep things from taking way too long to change things up in Revit. So I'll just do a few more here so we can see what's going to happen here. Hit apply, hit OK, and I'll zoom out and select off of those. And you can see I've changed up a bunch of these already to birch. Okay. So now the next piece of this that we're going to work with is the backsplash, because we're going to want to go ahead and add a backsplash above the counter below the cabinetry. So we'll start working on that. To go ahead and get that started, what we're going to do is we need to look directly at that wall because we need to actually trace the wall itself. So I'm going to go back to my level 1, and I want to actually be utilizing this elevation A1. And it's important that this elevation in front of here is an elevation that is in front of that refrigerator, and it is. If for some reason the elevation that you see is back here, so that the refrigerator is in the way of you getting to this wall over here, so it looks something like this, all you need to do is go into your level 1, select the little arrow here, select it with a left click once, and then left and hold click this line forward. This is the view line. This is as if you are standing here looking forward, okay? So when you do that and you go back to your elevation, you can see this entire area. It's nice and clean and flush for you to draw on. So what we need to do to this wall is we actually need to split some of this wall out. So we need to select the wall, okay? And selecting the wall right now is a little tough. I can't grab it. Well, the tool that I want to introduce you to is down here. This is called the Select Element by Face, all right? And the little icon is down here. It has a little red X on it right now, but if I click on it, I can come up, and then anything that I click on its face, it's what's going to get selected. Very useful as long as you know it's turned on and you know how to turn it on and off, all right? So I select the element by face. Then I come up here to this tool. This is called Split Face. Divides the face of an element such as a wall or floor into regions for the application of different materials. This is exactly what we want to do here. So I'm going to grab the tool. I'm going to then go ahead and select the wall again to tell it what I'm going to do. And now I'm going to draw basically the profile of the shape that I want. So I'll grab my line tool and I'll zoom in over here to the corner because I want this to go from one side all the way across the backsplash. And I'm actually going to get a little detailed up and around here like this. Bring this, and no good real point here to stop this at, so I'm going to just drop this and bring this up right at the edge of that cabinet. All right, that'll work out just fine. And zoom in to get close and zoom out. And actually the other thing that happens is this is an interesting thing with Revit. Revit always seems to set things up 1/8 inch equals a foot. And now when you do that, what happens is you get this giant, big, fat purple line. Well, that line can be kind of cumbersome in my opinion to work with. So what I do is I go down here to my scale button and I take this scale and I make it say 1/2 inch equals a foot so that the line is a little crisper for me to work with. So now I'm just going to continue with my line tool and I'm going to go all the way across. Now notice I'm going right behind that microwave. Really doesn't make a difference if I go behind the microwave because technically the tile will go behind the microwave and it's going to be on the wall so that it will sit in front. So it gives it a nice clean edge. That being said, also, I could have probably gone underneath of this countertop and the wall, but this is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the green check at the top to get out of that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a material. So I'm going to grab this button. This is called the paint tool. And this is going to apply a material to this area. Okay. Now, as I come through here, you can search through this and look for things. You can go ahead and type in things. Like if I want to do a tile backsplash, I can type in tile, and these are some tiles that pop up. And now if you don't have a good selection here, okay, like this tile stone, this is a stone that popped up that was already here in Revit. But what I had to do is load it from the AEC library. Now, there's no good way to load from the AEC library from Paint. So what we'll do is we're going to now go to the Manage tab. So when we go to the Manage tab at the top of the screen, we can get to our entire material library where we can then edit and change and do things to it so that they're available in different areas. So from this area, what I'm going to do is, again, we got to make sure that this material library button is opened up at the bottom. At the top in the search bar, I'm going to go ahead and type in tile again. And I now get all these tiles that are in my project, but then I have a bunch of tiles down here also. Now these are all coming from that material library, the AEC library. Well, here's a roofing tile that, hey, this might actually maybe look good. Nah, it looks like terracotta roofing. We don't want that. So we have a quarry tile. Let's see what that looks like. Nah, maybe that might look good on a floor, but you can hunt through here. There's a ton of different things in here that you can find, okay? All of these tiles and the different things that you put in here, if you put in, say, tile and then stone, that's going to change some things up here also. So here's that tile stone that's already loaded into the project that I'm going to go ahead and use. I found it that way by putting in two different descriptors. Okay, so with that set up, what I'm going to do is go back to my wall here. I'm going to select that wall. I'm going to grab the paint tool, and I'm going to select what I want to paint with. So I'm actually painting with this tile stone. I mouse over the image, making sure that it's highlighted around the edges. When that thing gets highlighted, then I can click in the center, and now I have applied that tile stone to this wall. So I'm going to go ahead and say done to that. And now what I want to do is I want to go back to my level 1 because I really want tile on this wall also. So again, I need to get another elevation. And to do that easily, I'm going to select this elevation head, hit this little check, and I've created elevation 1D. Well, there's 1A, now I have 1D. So I'm going to then go to 1D by double clicking on that little icon, and now I can see into the elevation that I want to work with. So I'll pull this back just a little bit so I can see the edge easier, and I'll do the same thing again. I'm going to now go ahead and select the wall. I'm going to go ahead and grab the split face tool. I'm going to grab the wall again, and now I'm going to go ahead and just draw in a rectangle. So using the rectangle tool, I'm just going to pull this rectangle all the way across till it gets in position, zooming in, and what you see is it says closed loop used to split the face must lie completely within the face. What I think is happening here is this is extending into our wall. Okay, so we just need to adjust that and pull that back into this wall area here just a little bit. Okay. The easiest way that I found to do is hit delete splitting element, and what we'll do is just do this one more time where I select the wall, I grab my splitting element tool, grab the wall again, and now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did before where I draw that rectangle in, making sure I'm up here at the top, but I'm going to keep this a little further back away from this wall. Okay, so I put that in position, hit escape to stop drawing walls, and I'm going to zoom in and drag this really close to the wall. Not going to touch the wall, and really in a rendering situation you're never going to see that. So with that all set up, I can hit my green check. I now have my split surface. I can then go ahead and grab my paint tool, grab the same stone tile, and paint that wall. I may not even see the wall right now in this color, but I could go and look at the shaded view and see that it is a slightly different color, but really get a better look at it. I should be able to go back to my 3D view. So I can see here that I got some cabinets that have all been changed up to birch. I've got the backsplash on both walls. That looks good. Let's deal with the countertop next. So with the countertop, what we're going to do is we'll select the countertop, hit edit type, and then again we're going to come right back here, countertop material by category. So we'll hit that little icon to get into material library, and now let's look for countertop material. Just put in counter, and I got this a basic countertop here. So I'm going to show you how to go out online and grab a material. So let's do this. Let's hit the countertop material, right click, let's duplicate it because I want to make this our own. Not sure what we're going to get next, but let's go. We'll just make sure that we use something here that has a graphical pattern to it. And what we need to make sure of is in here in appearance, this must have a graphic here, so you can actually see an image, and then you can see that this is a PNG. We can then replace it with a PNG and rename it, and then we have a different object. So I'm going to jump back out here to online, and you can see I was searching for Korean here before. Some of the things that you want to take note of is what you don't want to do is grab things like this image or say this image and try and grab something that has shadows on it. You want to have a really basic standard color, something that is a real product representation, not something that is a representation of two different products, but something that fills the entire screen with this. Okay, so here is a DuPont Corian granola. We could look at grabbing this particular object. And what you want to do is when you grab these objects, go back to here, you want to right click and you want to do Save Image As. When you do that, you're now saving this entire image without having to snip it or do anything else like that. So right now this is called Corian granola, and then this is the size. We don't need all these size numbers in here for now. But Corian granola, and you could grab any image that you want. I'm just doing this for this today. And I'm just right now going to stick this into my downloads. When transferring projects, you would want to keep this in a project folder and then pull from that same project folder. And if you send this to anybody that would need this image in the Revit model, you'd have to send this with it too, all right? Or it would not have that basic information. So when I go into this image, I need to go find my download folder. So we're looking for downloads, let's go into here. So I'm going to pull down this PC, and I'm looking for that. I'm going to do this PC here, and see there's my downloads, and there's my Corian granola. So grab that, I'm going to hit OK. Now it's pulling from that file location. So if I lose that image from my file location in my downloads, if I delete it or move it, it will lose this path. So really what you would like to do is save this to where you're saving your Revit drawings, and then you want to keep that moving with whatever object you have. So what we're going to do here is get rid of that stain. I don't need to stain this, and then go back to graphics. Here where it says use render appearance. So if I have my shading turned on in my visual style, I want that render appearance to be shown. So I have that set up, that's turned on. Identity, that's come back to here. Now this is countertop. Now this is actually Corian. All right, and this is going to be granola. So we have that set up, and we're going to just jump back into here. And yep, that is a Corian DuPont, actually. We could actually put that in there if we wanted to. Actually, granola actually has an A in it. And we're going to take this, and I'm going to highlight both of those and paste those here. All right, so we're going to do that. Hit OK, exit out of there, hit apply, hit OK. That moves us back out. So what I should be able to do is if I zoom in, I should be able to see that difference in countertop. Now both of these change because these are the same countertops for this particular product. So what I want to do now is just go ahead and shoot another quick rendering of this image, artificial only, hit render, and let this thing go ahead and render right here in Revit. Seems like it's been pretty quick, so we'll see how fast this goes. I'm going to go ahead and pause this. All right, that took about a minute and a half. I'm going to go ahead and just save this to the project, and we'll do this, and we'll call it materials 2 for now. But now this is part of my project. It's been saved. So if I wanted to go into my renderings and see there's my materials 2, I can see what that looks like. I can also jump into look at other images of what these other renderings look like. So here's white countertops with a backsplash, different colors. So it really does, it's nice that you can jump around and see what things look like when you change them very quickly from one to the other. Anything can have materials get changed in it. It's just depending upon that process. You could change up the appliances. Floors are simple also. We've gone through how to set up and change materials and floors before. But if we just select a floor, grab edit type, and then we're getting into the edit, then here's our materials. So this is where right now this is a slate material in the floor. We could get in and we're right back into that material library. We can pick different materials. We can build different materials like we did with an image. Again, just make sure that image, wherever you have that Revit file saved, make sure you save that to the same place. Don't keep it in your downloads or you will most likely lose that material when you go to move the file around. So hopefully this helps you customize your Revit kitchen project, and anything else you want to build in Revit.